Welcome to Mudit Verma's Furthermore podcast. I am with my good friend, Keyana The Artist. Keyana The Artist is so awesome because she put together a showcase with all kinds of artists not too long ago. And we met online, us artists trying to do our thing during this pandemic. Keyana, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing well. So glad you're here. So why don't you tell us about yourself? What art forms do you do?
Yes, I am a spoken word artist, also an author and a dancer too. So I'm like all around artist. I've been doing that about 11 years now, and I'm excited. So
Excellent. Very cool. So you've been doing those kinds of art forms for 11 years. And what inspired you to do spoken word and that kind of art?
I've been writing since I was like 15 due to my mom domestic violence and me experience being in foster care. So that's basically helped me because in that time I was young, but that was only my outlet was to write. And
Right.
so when I started writing, it came natural. So basically from domestic violence and experience from my mom, it helped me to overcome some challenges and overcome like be myself and what I can do for for others in the community.
Absolutely. That's super inspiring. And I feel that this pandemic has been very challenging, but there's also been this silver lining, this kind of blessing to have us
Mhm.
be connected. How has this pandemic, and this ongoing situation affected your art?
I could say some part of it, but then some of it became like more of, writing more. So
Mhm.
I've been writing more and creating another book, for children. So that's what I'm working on right now. So I've been more tuning in more of having that me time and
Mhm.
sitting outside and I'm writing and I'm writing and I'm writing. So, and then not only that, I've been able to connect with people virtually all
Right.
around different states, even out of the country. So,
Mhm.
so far I've been performing over like 12 countries virtually. So that's been a blessing for me from like Jerusalem, London, UK,
Yeah.
from England. So that's really good for me because I'm looking at, well, man, I'm trying to get out there more,
Mhm.
as in I gotta go travel, but it's like it's coming to me. It's like everything's coming to me now. So it's really a
Definitely.
good
Right. I agree. I've met so many people, and in such a short amount of time, I've been connected to artists all over the world. And
yes.
that's really been incredible. And I can't wait for this, pandemic to sort out so that, we can do our art with different audiences.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so were you planning events and doing showcases before the pandemic, like in real life
Yes.
types?
And
Okay, gotcha.
openly, yeah, I've been like performing like on stage a lot, conference. I've been in like showcase for teenagers. I did suicide wellness a couple of times.
Mhm.
Been so many events. So then when everything like shut down, actually I had events from February to May, and all of them had shut down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was freaking out, like, oh man, I
Right.
wanted to go to this and I wanted to do the suicide wellness. I was invited for an art gallery performance too this year, but they had to cancel that too. So
Mm.
yeah, it was kind of like sad because it's like I was so used to being in my audience all the time and face to face. But now I'm virtually, so I'm more into with all the people virtually. So
Right. I hear you. Yeah, no, it's definitely a challenge, and I've like learned to be more patient, very patient
yeah,
every
I've been
day,
more patient too. Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, has the pandemic affected other aspects of your life?
Yeah, kind of, trying to see family,
Hmm.
out of state and, stuff like that. But I do call them and see how they doing and,
Right.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. Got you. And can
Yeah.
you walk us through, talk about your processes, your creative processes? Does it start in your head? Do you cut out time to write, or is it something that comes to you? What's your creative process like?
Sometimes it will come to me, or sometimes I have to like sit and like, how you call it, block everything out. And I'm sitting in that time and say, okay, it's just me and nature, me, God, and nature. So I have to sit in that little tune and I just gotta write. Just gotta write. Sometimes writing so much I forget when to stop writing, you know. But
Right.
like you said, I've been more patient. So
Hmm.
I've been more patient more than before. So
Gotcha.
mm,
And when you write, I'm curious, do you have a preference in terms of pen and paper versus typing, or does it not really matter?
I have a pen and paper and I
Okay.
write in a notebook, my little bitty notebook. So one of these notebooks that I have, sorry, it's like one of these.
Okay.
So I write. And then I go and type it. So
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. So that's like you have both layers to kind of
Yeah.
keep everything in check. Okay.
hmm
Very cool.
Yeah. I think the more you write, you see you're writing more when you're writing
Hmm.
versus typing because you're like, oh, I put it on the paper.
Right.
Versus,
Absolutely.
oh man, you know, I'm sitting here thinking and typing, but when you write it, it's more natural. So
I agree. It's definitely,
mhm.
it feels natural. And I feel committed too, in the sense that if I'm on my computer, at least initially, I might get distracted,
Yeah.
do something else. Whereas with pen and paper, it's a more focused kind of feel and environment. Um,
hmm
can you talk about your YouTube channel? When did you start that, and how's that going?
I created my YouTube channel back in 2000 and I could say
Okay.
2012. So I put videos up and then I'm like, oh, you know, testing it and testing it. But
Hmm.
now I'm getting like more used to it because I'm really not a technology person. It's like more of me of being natural, you know.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to get tuned into it so people can see me more and understand my art and stuff like that. So I
Right.
guess when you're an artist as an introvert, you like, oh, I'm just gonna be this artist person. You don't have to find me or nothing. But
Exactly.
now that I became a published author, I try to keep, you know, people informed. Hey, you know, this is where my work at, and this is where you can find it at. So,
Got you. I can definitely
mm,
relate because I started my YouTube channel kind of coincidentally just before, this whole pandemic started. I want to say like
mhm,
early March. And I guess, yeah, a lot of the downtime with this
yeah,
pandemic and just kind of waiting, like it did provide that flexibility to get more
hmm
familiar with YouTube and
yeah.
how to how to make the most of it.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's like you said, the downtime is like the downtime really helped me because like I'm learning every platform like Zoom and Google Meets and YouTube and you know they got all these new technology, you know, Microsoft Word, they have it's called Microsoft Team and
mhm.
that's a good platform too. I've been learning that too. You know, some people had performed on there too, so it's something new too. But
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
learn all these new technologies like when you're gonna have time, but you're learning, like you said, you at home, so you're learning all these technologies. So
Right. Okay. Yeah, I've only performed on Zoom and Google Meet, I think. So you said you've seen performances on Microsoft Teams?
yes,
Oh, wow.
I performed in this one open mic. It's a treatment center, people in recovering and stuff like that. They use that, you know, for their own
Oh,
security wise. So I use
gotcha.
them most of the time. Yeah.
Very cool. Right. Yeah. That's yeah, I feel motivated to really expand my technological kind of
Yeah.
landscape. There's so
Yeah.
much out there. Uh, Very cool. So yeah, I'll be plugging all of your information, your YouTube channel, your social media. Any kind of words of wisdom or advice for its aspiring artists out there?
Yes. Keep writing, keep being creative, you know. I know you're looking out there and say, hey, I don't know where to go. Try Zoom, try Google Meet, go onto eventbrite.com because there's so many virtual outlets out there. So just plug along, stay creative, don't feel bad, but hey, it's like a learning experience and being patient. So.
Absolutely. And I agree with all of these pieces of advice. And I must say, Keyana the Artist creates such a welcoming and energizing and an inspiring environment for all kinds of artists. So,
yes.
You know,
and it's good because, you know, when I put the platform together, it's called the Journey Artists Around the World. And it's kind of funny because I'm putting a project together now too with the book for the children and stuff like that. But we all on a journey, we all on different paths, and we're learning a different kind of art. I call it a different kind of art now because it's like,
right.
Oh, I learned this kind of art, but then I could change it into this, or I could change it into that. So,
excellent. Very cool.
Being creative.
That is awesome. And I will absolutely keep the information about all of that in the YouTube caption and your contact info as well. And thank you so much, Keyana. This is a wonderful conversation.
Thank you for letting me be on.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so happy to have you on.